Now, before the news at 7 o'clock, we are going to turn our attention back to basketball. The Hoopsfix All-Star Classic returning for its 9th year this weekend. A chance to see some of the best young basketball talent. The day which is held at Crystal Palace, featuring an under-19 women and under-19 men's game, along with a three-point shootout and dunk contest. The proceeds from the weekend going to the Hoopsfix Foundation, a not-for-profit that helps fund the Classic with the sole purpose of growing and raising the profile of the game. So let's speak to Hoopsfix founder, Sam Neater. Good evening to you, Sam.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. A little bit stressed, a lot of running around at the moment. I've just got back from the printer and picked up 150 odd t-shirts. So, but yeah, it's all go, getting ready for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant event. I came along last year, really well attended, and some fantastic talent on show.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've set regular records for junior attendances for basketball in the UK. This will be the 9th year, the 9th sellout. You know, the hunger for it has been proven, and I think it's a really exciting time for British basketball, especially for, you know, the younger generation coming through. You know, that in line with the investment that the professional league has got recently. You know, the amazing work that London Lions are doing. There's a lot of like really exciting stuff that's happening in British basketball at the moment, and yeah, we're obviously, you know, super proud and pleased to be a part of it in the summer.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because we were talking in detail, actually, about the London Lions last night and about the success for both the men's and women's teams. And the London Lions were suggesting that their success does provide a sort of trickle down to youth level. Do you see the evidence of that?
I think that will come with time. I think stuff like that is, you know, solving the British basketball conundrum is a long-term project. I don't think that happens, you know, overnight. I think what they're doing is a super positive start, and it's definitely giving the sport more visibility, better visibility than it's ever had. You know, them competing in Europe is obviously huge. The investment they've got is huge. You know, the attendances they're getting, the outreach they're doing, you know, the organisation that they're building is super inspiring. And I think it's really raising the bar and setting the standard and making everyone else sort of dream a little bit bigger and set their aspirations a little bit higher of, you know, what we want this sport to be.
So the British basketball conundrum, is this the conversation we have on a regular basis, which is about how popular the sport is, but maybe how popular it is as a participation sport, but maybe it doesn't get the media coverage that you need? Is that, I mean, that's the issue?
I mean, it's not the sole issue. Media coverage is definitely, you know, part of it. Obviously, you know, we're lucky enough that you give us some time and talk to us. But, you know, trying to get basketball to break through in the mainstream press is a huge issue. It's just, I think for any sport that's not football, it's hard. But for a sport like basketball, it's even harder. And then there's just, you know, loads of stuff around that as well. You know, whether it's the lack of purpose-built basketball facilities, whether it's the lack of outdoor dedicated basketball facilities, whether it's, you know, the lack of clubs, the sort of the infrastructure, the economy. There's a whole host of issues that sort of come together to lead to the situation that basketball is in, where, you know, everyone that's involved with it knows that it has this huge amount of potential and it could be so incredible. And there's a groundswell of support of trying to make that happen, but it definitely needs some of that mainstream support. You know, funding is a recurring issue that is spoken about, you know, by every objective measure. You know, basketball is drastically underfunded when you look at Sport England and UK sport funding figures, when you look at comparing it to the sort of participation base. So I think there's so much work to be done. And obviously, you know, the Hoopsfix Foundation, a lot of what we're trying to do is grow and raise the profile of basketball in the UK. It's doing that campaigning. You know, we've recently, with the proceeds of the Classic last year, we've actually funded a research student to produce some research that will hopefully be published in the next couple of months, looking into the importance of dedicated outdoor basketball courts as opposed to multi-use games areas, which is generally what we have in England. And we're hoping like all of this stuff is going to do our sort of bit to help try and, you know, help this sport break through to the level that we all believe that it can be.
Where will you be sharing that information and that research, and what are you hoping it might change in London, for example, in terms of providing those facilities?
Yeah, so it's been submitted to the I think it's the International Journal of Basketball Studies, I think is the name of the journal, and obviously we're waiting for feedback now from the review team. Obviously, as soon as it's published, we're going to do a little bit of a PR campaign around it and try and raise some awareness of it. That was kind of born of the fact that we did our first court renovation at Clapham Common in 2021 off the back of the proceeds from the All-Star Classic. And, you know, in that time, I think it's become a real hub for the community. You know, it's full all day, every day. There's floodlights, there's seating, there's perspex backboards, spring-loaded rims. Like, it's, you know, pretty much the premier outdoor basketball court in the country. And before that, it was nowhere near used as much. And so this kind of research is just quantifying that and making it a little bit more objective in the sense that, you know, these dedicated spaces are so important to try and, you know, impact and grow this sport. And we know that basketball reaches populations that other sports struggles to. And that's why it's so important that it's given the love and care and attention and funding that we all think it should.
Yeah, so you don't just have a research paper, you have, you know, the physical evidence to prove what you're arguing.
Yeah. I mean, the research paper was done. I mean, we've got two papers that are hopefully going to be published. One is around sort of more case studies, sort of qualitative data, interviewing people that kind of use dedicated outdoor basketball spaces and what they mean to them and sort of the community. And then we've got another one where we partnered with Basketball England and we put out a big survey across our social media platforms to ended up getting about 1,700 respondents. Talking about their outdoor basketball court usage. And it's sort of, again, it's providing this data that the sport has never had that hopefully we're gonna use to be able to make our case when we're having these conversations with councils and local authorities, that it's worthwhile investing in, because, you know, this is the power of what it can do.
Meanwhile, you've got these young, talented players who are going to be part of this All-Star Classic. And again, speaking to people who work with for the London Lions, Ryan, their head coach, Vanya, who's the general manager for the women's team, they were talking about really wanting to bring through young players who understood that they could stay in England to play their basketball and not go elsewhere. At the moment, the youngsters that you're working with, do they see their future as not being in England? Do they see their future as being somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, we did some data and we worked out, I think, like of all the players in the US college system that were British, I think 90% of them, 85% of them have gone through the Classic, have played in the Classic. So like, it's very much that is the route that they're taking. You know, that the aspirations for any talented young basketball player is to go abroad, you know, at a young age, is to go to the States, win a scholarship, and play at US colleges, and then ideally turn professional after that. Like, you know, I think what the Lions are doing is definitely helping to make more of a case for British players to make a career for themselves at home. Funny enough, actually, Jelani Watson-Gale, who is Bristol Flyers point guard, he's just turned, this was his rookie year, like just first year professional. He was the first MVP of the All-Star Classic in 2014, the first year that we ran it. And now he's just finished his college career, came back to the UK to turn pro, which again was not happening, you know, years before. It would always be sort of overseas in Europe. But he came back to the UK. You know, he's had an outstanding rookie year and been named to the All British team. So I think that is slowly changing, where young players are starting to see that actually, you know, they can you know, make a career for themselves in the UK, which is what we all want. You know, we'd love to see British talent at home week in, week out, because at the moment, you know, or previously, historically, has always been, if you've got to follow you know, random websites to find out how our players are doing in Turkey or France or Spain, and it's very hard to keep up with them because they're just not here. But that is, it's definitely slowly changing. And obviously, you know, Lions have signed a number of sort of GB level talent players this season, whether it's Luke Nelson, Mo Sholawade, you know, guys that, you know, historically have never played in the UK and they came back for the first time. So I do think there is a slow cultural shift happening, and hopefully it will continue, where, you know, British players can earn good money, more money than they can earn overseas, to play at home in front of their friends and family.
Well, it was a brilliant event last year, really well attended. Are you sold out, or if somebody's listening now, is there still an opportunity to come along?
We are fully sold out.
I bet you are.
We sold out last week. So I'm afraid there are no more tickets. It's going to be standing room only. It's going to be packed. So looking forward to it. And I'll just say, next year, get your tickets early, hoopsfixallstarclassic.com. And hopefully we'll do it again.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. I know you're incredibly busy, Sam, so I really appreciate your time this evening. The Hoopsfix All-Star Classic. It is the 9th year this weekend. As Sam was saying, they're sold out this weekend at Crystal Palace, but maybe sort of search for your tickets a little bit earlier next year. A great event and a great opportunity to see some of that young basketball talent here in London. So you're listening to the London Sports Show on a Wednesday evening.